Hi, I'm Allison, and I have a lot of plants, both indoors and outdoors now. And that means I often have a lot of plants to repot. But we already did that last time, and that was just a little warm-up for the project that's bigger than any fiddle leaf fig.
This is fine.
Cheers, week 3. I'm just kidding, we're not repotting any plants today. We are working on a much bigger plant adjacent project though. Really, I'm just stalling because it's freezing cold outside and I had to hang my overalls above the fireplace. I need to sand and seal every windowsill with a plant pot sitting on it. All of my windowsills are raw wood, and that doesn't super jive well with water. This is a project that I know I've needed to do since like the day I moved in. I just never had time for 2 years. And now the windowsills are looking a little bit rough. Any project that requires buying new power tools immediately gets bumped up on my to-do list. So I had to buy a sander. Hello? Hello? It's much quieter than I was expecting, which is good because we're gonna be running it for a while. But what we need to do first is clear off the windowsills and move every single plant that's on a windowsill. I don't know how long this whole project is gonna take us start to finish. We're just gonna have to roll with it. It is a holiday weekend though. And I did take an extra day off in addition to that in case I needed it. So I do have faith this project will get done in one go and my house will not remain a construction zone for more than a long holiday weekend. Hopefully my overalls are warm enough to go outside now.
Give that leg another minute.
Well, I sure hope nobody comes to the door today.
I don't think one folding table's gonna be enough, folks. It's been over 2 years since I moved in, and what's even harder to believe, and if you know much about me, you might be a bit surprised by this too, is that I have neither filled my house entirely with plants nor spent the rest of my life savings in doing so. While I've made a couple big plant purchases since moving from a 400 square foot tiny house with 200 plants, my 2,000 square foot house now still has about 200 plants. Now it just takes longer to water them because the trips to the sink are 6 times the distance. Today it's the windowsills, but I have 5 acres worth of projects and a to-do list literally 3 years long. So I'm going to be holding my indoor plant collection steady until I get the farm fully up and running. Yeah, a whole farm. But this year I'm focusing on stuff like this. All the little projects that need to get done, junk to clean up, trees to trim, brush to clear, maybe build a couple of fences. I'm just gonna get all that out of the way before I roll a tractor up in here and really start raising heck.
This is fine.
It's times like these where I'm so glad I came of age in the time of YouTube. I can learn how to do darn near everything on the internet, including what to do about water-stained wood. I don't know who thought it would be a good idea to put raw wood anything in a house in the dank Pacific Northwest, and, as a lifelong plant haver, I knew the minute I laid eyes on these that they were gonna be trouble. And over the course of sanding and handling the wood the last 2 days, I noticed each board has a slightly different density and texture and a slightly different effect when sanded. Yes, these were different types of wood, probably salvaged from some other thing that used to be on the property. There's a lot of that going on around here, so this discovery does not surprise me. In fact, you could tell me there's a colony of cave people living in my mechanics pits, and it would also not surprise me. The place is just that full of weird surprises. Anyway, with the help of the slick sander, lots of sandpaper, and an awful lot of battery changes, the transformation exceeded my expectations. Before, after. Not perfect, but not that. I just have this guy left and this guy, and I'm gonna be quick with it. I have many more layers on today, but things are gonna warm up a little bit later. Keep the basic flame. When the safety lever valve is depressed, the flame becomes super flame. We got super flames. Okay, well, I mentioned that any project requiring power tools tends to float to the top of my to-do list. That counts double if I get to use fire. While I do have some more raw wood in my house that matches the color of this wood, I also have a lot of dark wood. So what I did here was basically toast my windowsills like marshmallows to achieve a more even color and texture, given that now we've discovered these are different kinds of wood. Ah, the smell of chemicals for lunch. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there are an awful lot of plants that live in these windowsills, and where plants congregate, so does moisture. I don't have 17 hours to trek across my house 600 times every week to water my plants in the sink, so while I do try to be precise with my watering can, leakage, seepage, and condensation just can't be avoided. Why does that matter? Because I bought the sturdiest kind of coating they sell at the hardware store, that's why. The stuff made to put on your wood floors in high traffic areas is the correct thing to do here if I don't want to be doing this project again, fun as it is, in another 2 years. The one perk to doing this job in the freezing cold, though, is that I can attain an extremely glossy surface without fear of bugs messing up my work. I can work with the doors open without worrying some errant insect will fly into my third coat and cause me to have to sand it off and do it again. Of course, I picked the coldest week of the year to start my outside projects. It was like 15 degrees out when I got up this morning, and it barely made it above freezing by quitting time. But once I dove in and started seeing how well this was actually working, I started to find this chore very therapeutic. And I don't think that was just the chemicals making me feel that way, although that's a possibility. But with a good audiobook, it was downright enjoyable and gave me time to ponder my next project. Well, this is exciting. This turned out pretty good. I'm really happy with this. Now the challenge is, aside from these top two, I can probably guess where those go. I don't know which windowsills these go in. And then it was time to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Not gonna lie, at this point I had some mad cabin fever, so once I got the windowsills back in the house, they were still a bit stinky. I opened all the windows and just went for a hike. For 2 weeks. You're not really supposed to put anything on top of polyurethane anyway for a while after your last coat dries, so it made sense for both the sills and my sanity to wait a couple of weeks to put everything back completely. Spending those 2 weeks walking around plant pandemonium also felt a lot like back when I moved in and had everyone all over the place on card tables and counters trying to figure out all the light. So, a little sweet nostalgia. But unlike back then, these windowsills, while battered in the beginning, are now ready to stand up to hopefully a lot more years of healthy plants.